Morning everybody. Well, morning for me, good afternoon, good evening to everybody else in the rest of the world. Welcome to today's presentation. We're talking today about how to get the most highly profitable, highly probable opportunities in the market from Autochartist. And if you have listened to me before in presentations, you'll know that I go pretty quickly, but I like to keep things short and to the point. I don't do a lot of waffling around. So if I go too fast, let me know. Errol will interrupt me and tell me to bring it back a notch. So first things first is many people ask, how do we get into the platform? And as you can see in front of me, I have the Autochartist website up on my screen. Click on the login button on the top right hand side. And when you click on that login button, you will get logos of all our different broker partners. Those are specific links of how to get into the Autochartist application itself through if you have live accounts with those broker partners. If you don't have a live account with Autochartist, please register with us. Just click on the free sign up button on the top right of our website, and you just get a free trial. And you'll be up and running within a matter of minutes if all goes according to plan. Once you log in, you're going to see what I'm going to show you now, which is the Autochartist web platform. And this is where we're going to be talking about things today. So before I get going, the first thing I want to do is I want to ask all of you what type of instruments you're actually trading. That'll help me to talk about the right things in this presentation. So why don't you all please go ahead and fill in this questionnaire. Okay, so a huge majority is trading Forex, followed by stocks, and then commodities and energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk around Forex as well as stocks. I guess I'll focus on some of the North American stocks as well and see where we go from there. Thank you very much to everyone for filling in that poll. All right. So when you log into the Autochartist application, if you're logging in through a direct subscription with Autochartist, you'll come to a page called Our Favorites. That's the page you land on. For many of the brokers out there, if you have an account with our broker partners, you don't as yet have this Our Favorites section. We're busy talking to many of our broker partners to get that enabled on their platforms at the moment. So bear with us while we go through that process. So the vast majority of you will actually land on a page called Trading Opportunities, which I've clicked on now. And depending on which search criteria you select, you'll actually get the appropriate opportunities for you on the screen under Trading Opportunities. Now, today's webinar is obviously about getting the highest probability events in the market. So I'll focus around that. So I'm going to talk less about Autochartist and how to use it, and more about just getting the best statistics out of it. So within Trading Opportunities, you get the list of trading opportunities at the bottom, and then of course you can click on every opportunity and see what it looks like visually. Okay. Now, briefly to give you an idea, this, for example, is an opportunity on EuroCAD, and it tells us that EuroCAD we think is going to go up to 136.44. And here's an opportunity on Australian dollar, Hong Kong dollar. This is a 3-point Fibonacci pattern, which says that we think the price is going to move down and basically bounce off one of these Fibonacci levels. Now, if you notice that this screen gives you very little information about what is the probability of these events actually happening, right, of actually hitting our forecast levels in the market. So what I want to do is I want to actually move you over to the pattern performance performance statistics screen, which is on the top over here, which is this really the central point or the focal point of today's conversation. Now, if I'm three types of analyses that we do, we provide it for completed chart patterns, for completed key levels, and for approaching key levels. Now, let's talk about those three different types of opportunities before we actually look at the statistics themselves. So I'll click on the currencies tab. And what I'm going to do is, if you focus on the filter section over here, I'll show you the filters that I actually run in order to get statistics. So the stats that are selected now, the indicators that are selected now are the ones for which we provide statistics for. The reason why we don't provide statistics, for example, chart patterns, emerging chart patterns, is because normally these are what we call moving targets. We have trending lines, and it's difficult to tell whether we've hit our forecast or not, because the forecast keeps changing with every candle as the market moves. Similarly, for Fibonacci patterns, both completed and emerging Fibonacci patterns, there are so many lines in Fibonacci patterns that it's difficult to tell and to understand whether a Fibonacci pattern was successful or not. Of course, if any of you have recommendations about how to tell whether those forecasts are correct, we'd love to hear from you. But right now, our guys haven't been able to come up with good algorithms to actually figure out whether we hit those forecast regions or not. Okay, so now what I've done is I've actually limited my search criteria under trading opportunities to completed chart patterns, breakout chart patterns, and approaching key levels. Okay. So all the opportunities I'm seeing on my screen right now do actually have probabilities, or we can look them up in terms of probabilities of whether they're not they're going to hit their forecast region. And now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift back into the performance statistics section. All right. And for example, I'm going to look at Forex performance of, say, chart patterns. Okay. Now this page that's come up on your screen right now actually shows you the breakdown of completed chart patterns over the last 6 months. All right, so over the last 6 months, we've identified about 19,800 completed chart patterns, of which 13,000 hit their forecast region. Now, you may think to yourself, well, that's pretty mediocre in terms of performance. That's only 66% hit rate of our forecast. But what's important is actually not what's important is not the overall performance as such, but rather the breakdown of the performance statistics. So what I want to focus on is actually looking at the breakdown by pattern and by instrument. Now this is what's important. So, for example, ascending triangles over the last 6 months or so has had a 73 performance hit rate, right? 661 ascending triangles out of 906 have hit their forecast region. For head and shoulders, that's far higher. Head and shoulders is 354 out of 444. That's 80%. Even higher for inverse head and shoulders, 402 out of 484. Similarly, we have a breakdown by instrument. It looks like USD DKK has been a great performer. Australian dollar against the Hong Kong dollar has been a great performer. US dollar, Australian dollar, Swiss franc, US dollar, Singapore dollar has been a really, really good performer. But the ones that we highlight in green are just over 70%. There's obviously ones which are almost just as good. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc at 69%. Let me look for some more. Euro, Swiss franc at 69%. So there's many opportunities which are really, really good that aren't highlighted in green. And so what I always recommend to everybody is to actually go into this performance statistics page. It's not a very long document. Print it out. Spend a few cents of paper. Print it out and have it sitting next to your desk so you can quickly reference the opportunities. Other notable things that we should have a look at is, if you look at for the breakdown by interval for chart patterns, you can see that the chart patterns based on end of day data, which is 1440, are really, really powerful at over 74%. This is actually exactly in line with the theory of chart patterns, right, which dates back to the 1930s, right, that the longer the time frames, the more psychology plays out in the market, and obviously the higher the probability of actually using support and resistance levels to actually forecast what's going to happen in the market. All right. So right now, what we're saying is overall, if we compare the overall statistics of 66% of technical chart pattern breakouts over the last 6 months, and we compare that to just the end of day chart patterns, we can see the chart patterns, the end of day chart patterns do way better than the overall statistics, which is obviously skewed by the 15-minute chart patterns, which are more based on noise than actual psychology in the market. Another interesting thing to remember is the hour of day. The hour of the day on which chart patterns were identified is one of the most important indications of whether a chart pattern is going to be successful or not. Now, I have my Autochartist set to Eastern Standard Time, and I'm using the direct version of Autochartist. That means it's a direct subscription. It's not through a broker partner. That means my Autochartist hour of day breakdown is in Eastern Standard Time. For specific broker distributions, we use the time zone of the broker's data, in which case your statistics might be in a slightly different time zone, so they might be shifted a little bit. But you can see in the FX market that Autochartist does really, really well from midnight and onwards in Eastern Standard Time. That means from the very early morning in London time through to the close of London time, or the afternoon of London time. Now, this is interesting because many of us have the perception that New York is the center of the financial world. Well, that may be true, except that London is the center and focal point of the Forex world. So what we see is patterns that were identified during the London session seem to have a far higher probability of success rate than patterns that were identified during the US session of the day. Okay. Having said that, let me move on to the breakout key levels. Let me actually show you, before we move on to breakout key level statistics, let me show you what a breakout key level looks like. Breakout key level is, for example, something like the image that's going to come up on my screen right now. Let me find another example. Okay, here's an example of a breakout key level, Euro SEK, sorry. There has been a resistance level identified by Autochartist, and there has been a breakout, right? So this is what we call breakout key levels, okay? If we look at the performance statistics of breakout key levels on the Forex market, let's bring up those statistics. Now we're seeing over 6 months, over the last 6 months, the percentages are much higher actually than the technical chart patterns. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. And what we can actually see is, once again, if we're looking at the breakdown by interval, that the key levels identified on the end of day patterns have a much higher probability of success than the patterns identified on the 15-minute. Although here in the key level section, the discrepancy is not as great as the one for technical chart patterns. But again, you can look at the breakdown by instrument, and you can see there's some the statistics here are really, really good. And in fact, there's some phenomenal statistics close to 80% success rate. Now, this is very interesting because what I want to do is I want to actually come back to the technical chart patterns for just a moment and click back on those statistics. And you'll notice that many of the statistics which are based on horizontal support and resistance levels, for example, ascending triangle, that has its grounding in a horizontal support resistance level. That does really well. The descending triangle does really well. That's based on a horizontal support level. Head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, those again are based on horizontal levels. Rectangles are based on horizontal levels. Double bottoms are based on horizontal levels. So in fact, even within the realm of technical chart patterns, you find that the market psychology is very much centered around horizontal support and resistance levels in the market rather than trending support and resistance levels in the market. And again, I want to go back to trading opportunities, and I want to show you an example of the last type of statistic that we offer, and that's on what we call approaching support and resistance levels. So here on my screen, you can see an example of an approaching support level, where we have a CAD Swiss franc moving towards a support level at 0.9046. Now, again, we provide past historical performance based on these patterns, right? So now we go into the performance statistics section, and we click on this button over here, which is key levels approaches. And we bring up the key levels approaches statistics. And now the stats look even higher, okay? Now this is absolutely fascinating. What this is telling us is the fact that the market loves these, what I call attractor points, right, or points of convergence in the market. That means that if a level has been hit before, there's quite a high likelihood that that level will be revisited. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to break through the level, right? But it does mean that there's some kind of attractor points or levels at which the market sees a lot of consolidation and support and resistance in the market. And this is why we're actually seeing very high overall percentages for what we call approaching key level patterns. All right. So now let's actually take an example and actually work through an example right now together. And here we go. So let's take this example over here, which is Euro HUF. It's just come up on my screen now. This is a new opportunity. It is, you can see by this green arrow, this is a completed, right, or a breakout key level, all right, resistance on Euro HUF, 15 minutes. All right, we'll try and remember all of that. And we go into the performance statistics section. We look on breakout key levels, because that was a Euro HUF opportunity on 15 minutes. And we look at Euro HUF, breakout key level. It's one of our highest performers, where we've achieved 3 out of 358 patterns identified over the last 6 months. 274 hit the level that we said it was going to hit. All right. Resistance level in general have quite a high performance of 70% or more. And if we look at the 15-minute patterns, so on 15-minute interval, which is that opportunity we had right now, 15-minute intervals, we are averaging around 71% hit rate. So if you ask me, Ilan, right now, this opportunity on Euro HUF that we had over here, is this an opportunity that you would take? I would say yes. Of course, I can't, propose you taking this position right now, and I'm certainly not doing that. Right? This is not a. I'm not trying to solicit any trades, and certainly Autochartist is not remunerated on trades that you make. We just want to offer you a good service. But this is certainly an opportunity that I would very strongly consider taking in the market right now on my personal trading style, because really, for those of you who have heard me present before, I take a very analytical view of the market. I look at the statistics, and that's really the way I trade. For those of you who trade other markets, for example, let's look at the New York Stock Exchange. Interesting. So here is VMware. Okay, an opportunity on VMware. This is an end of day opportunity. It's a channel down on end of day at VMware. Okay. Now we look at the performance statistics of that. Let's find New York Stock Exchange. completed chart patterns. Okay. Now, that was a channel down breakout. We see that the performance statistics on channel downs have not been that great over the last 6 months. All right. Only 484 out of 785 actually hit their forecast regions. All right. Let's look at the end of day. So on New York Stock Exchange, the end of day are just acceptable, 63% hit rate. Okay. And then, of course, we could look to see where the VMware is on our list. So now the question lies, Ilan, would you take this opportunity on VMware that you've just shown us? I would say, you know what? I am not sure. I'm undecided about this opportunity, which is actually a good thing to say, because many people just go to the market, they go to Autochartist or any other tool that you use, and they're searching for a trade to make. What I'm trying to say to you is there are plenty of opportunities in the market. Just with Autochartist, you have, I don't know, hundreds of opportunities. And based on your trading style, of course, you can filter that down. But there are hundreds of opportunities in the market every day. There's no need for you to take a trade that you're not sure about, or the statistics are uncertain. So you need to be patient. You need to wait for the trade to come to you. Don't go out looking for an opportunity or for a reason to actually trade, to place a trade in the market. So at this point, I want to just take a brief a moment to answer any questions, because I want to move on to the section called Our Favorites, which literally actually has done the work for you of filtering out all the best opportunities. But before I move on to that section, I want to just take a few moments, and I wonder if Errol or Yvette, if you guys are on the line, if you could just inform me of any questions that you think would be interesting for the audience to get an answer to.
Hi, Lan.
Hi, Errol.
Yeah, there are a few questions.
Great.
The first one, just Michael Ewan.
Yes.
He says, is there a time limit for the price to hit the target before it is considered a success? For example, AUD US dollar
yes.
took 6 months. Okay, you can explain.
Right. That's a great question. So, so I suppose that was a Forex related question. So I'll click on Forex again. So let me tell you what we do at the Autochartist software level, and let me tell you from our other internal research that we've done. So at Autochartist, we provide one pattern length to hit the forecast region. That means that if you look at this pattern over here, it's based on 110 candles, 110 15-minute candles. This means that we, in fact, give this pattern 110 15-minute candles to hit that level of 297.62. That's from a statistical perspective. Now, let me tell you what we've actually seen at Autochartist. We have actually seen that if a price doesn't hit its forecast level within 1/3 of the pattern length, there's a strong likelihood that it's going to move the other way. Okay, so this means, for example, in this instance we're looking at the moment right now, this is 110 candles. Let's just say 1/3 is approximately 35 candles. So if this opportunity doesn't hit its forecast region within the next 35 candles, chances are I would probably close out my position that I've taken. And that same theory and the same analytics actually apply to chart patterns as well. I hope I've answered that question. Errol, anything else?
Hi, Lan. Sorry. Yes, there's quite a lot of questions that have just come through now.
Oh, okay, good. Is there anything specifically that you think would be important?
Okay, so, I mean, a lot of people are asking in different ways about, do you use a stop limit?
Right. Okay. So this is a very good question. So I must point out that Autochartist is not a signal provider. Okay. We are in fact prohibited. Sorry, let me take a step back. Because we work with a lot of NFA, SEC, and FSB regulated entities, and a lot of brokers that are regulated by those entities, We are actually in the business of providing research rather than trading signals. So we are, in fact, kind of prohibited from supplying stop levels. Okay, we can only provide forecasts into the market, which is really our target prices. However, what I can talk about with you here today is the fact that in general, when one trades support and resistance levels, one should have one strategy with which you trade the markets. That means if you're trading support and resistance levels in the market, you should potentially also use the same theories to set your stop and your stop loss levels. For example, this is actually a great example we have on our screen right now. If you ask me, Ilan, where would you set a stop loss on this instrument right now? I'll give you an example. I will show you where I will set a stop loss. What I would do is I would draw a hypothetical line between the support levels that I see in my pattern right now, extend that into the future, and I would actually take a long position here, right, and watch it, and watch the price, okay, and I would use this as my stop level. Yes, it is quite a lenient stop level, but then you're getting into the realms of money management, right? You should always size your positions according to how much you're prepared to lose on that position, not how much you want to win on that position, right? So if you ask me, Ilan, where should I set my stop level? This is where I would set my stop level. If you are taking a really big position right now, I would say, you know what, potentially you could argue that there's strong resistance at this level as well. You can see it over here, and you can see it over here. So if you're taking a very large position, you could be far more aggressive and take a stop loss which is far closer. But again, the stop loss that I would take would be based on support and resistance rather than on some kind of derived a function that you have. I believe quite strongly that if you're using support and resistance to enter the market, then you should equally be looking at support and resistance to exit the market. Of course, you have to take money management into account, position sizing, position timing. There could be other opportunities that have come up in the market, and if you don't have enough cash in your account or you don't have enough margin to place another position, you know, and you're simply sitting on some positions that aren't doing anything, that could be another reason to exit positions. So there are many, many reasons to exit positions and the strategies. You know, so you know, you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. I hope again that I've answered that question sufficiently.
Okay, Lan, there are quite a few more questions, but I think you'll probably answer a lot of them as you go along, so maybe carry on.
Okay, let me carry on then. Actually, before I carry on, what I quickly want to do is I want to focus everyone quickly on the messaging and alert section. So if any of you have seen this before, this is a feature that Autochartist launched just a while back. Click on messaging and alerts. Click on the report that you want to get. So for example, I'm interested in Forex. And then I trade the European session. So I click on European session. I speak English. So I choose the English language and I fill in my email address and I click save. And that actually sends me a report by email before the open of the European session. That's about 30 minutes before the open of the London Stock Exchange, with a technical outlook of the Forex market, because that's what I requested, into my inbox. So I don't even have to go and visit the Autochartist website to get a technical outlook on the market. Of course, that's not a real-time updating email, right? Emails are just static, but it's a pretty cool feature. I'll give you a quick preview of that. Here is a quick preview of that of the report that you get. So it gives you, in the beginning of the day, a very brief overview of the outlook or the short-term, medium-term outlook of the market, or the technical outlook. So it kind of lets you know whether it's you should be opening your your trading screen for that day. Of course, we provide a brief little explanation of what's actually going on. Anyway, I just wanted to highlight that feature, of course. So let's move on to the section called Our Favorites. Now, in the first part of this presentation, what I was focusing on is looking at the trading opportunities and then referencing that with the performance statistics page. Now, unfortunately, for those of you whose brokers don't have Our Favorites yet, you're going to have to do that manually. But for those of you whose brokers do have Our Favorites enabled already, then you can just use the Our Favorites section to do all the work for you in terms of performance statistics. Now, the reason why it's slow to roll out the Our Favorite section is not a technical reason. It's actually regulatory reasons, because we are working quite closely with our brokers and their compliance departments to make sure that everybody is happy with the Our Favorite section from a wording perspective, to make sure that we don't cross the line of being signals providers. So we are working on that quite actively right now at this stage, and our customer support people and legal are all working together to try and enable Our Favorites for as many brokers as possible. If you want to find out whether your broker has Our Favorites enabled or not, you can either do one of two things. Either you can log into the Autochartist application and see whether it's there, or you can drop us an email to support@autochartist.com, and we'll let you know if your broker has that enabled, that feature enabled or not. Now, let me talk about Our Favorites for just a moment. So when you click on the Our Favorites section, it's rather a simple part of the tool to use. And there's just only one setting that you as the user have at your disposal. And that setting is the minimum percentage probability. So by default, Autochartist shows you everything with 60% or higher probability. But you can, for example, set everything to a 70% probability. And what Autochartist does is that it merges what we've seen in the trading opportunity section together with the performance statistics section, and provides you with the opportunities in the market right now that have, in our mind, a 70% or higher probability based on past performance, right, over the past 6 months' performance. Again, I have to stress, past performance is not indicative of future performance, all right? So this is based on past performance. So for example, here's an opportunity on GBP CAD, where we think it's going down to 156.38. Over the last 6 months, and we provide you the stats at the bottom, of the last 6 months, support levels have hit their forecast region 75% of the time. This instrument, GBP CAD, has hit its forecast region 73% of the time, and the time of day in which it was identified was 75% of the time. Okay, so on average, we have a 75% probability. All right. And so we can even crank that up even more, not to say necessarily that we'll have probabilities of 75% or more, but you can see there's far fewer probabilities of 75% or more to hit its forecast region on the Forex market right now. Let's look at the New York Stock Exchange. Oh, I've got New York equities. Okay, let's see what we've got in New York equities. All right, so on New York, the US Stock Exchange, right now, our highest probabilities are actually look like they're about 69% probability. All right, so there's quite a few New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and Amex listed entities who have here's one with 71% probability. Let's actually try and filter that down to over 70%. Oh, there's one opportunity with an over 70% probability on Amex, a share called BTN, but quite a few opportunities close to 70% at around 69% probability. Now, I see one question that's come up, and I'm kind of glancing to the right, and I see a question which is interesting about what other tools can you use to confirm breakouts. This is a very Very, very good question, in fact. What I like to use is a moving average to confirm breakouts. One of the first things I look at is if I add a moving average to my instrument, is the moving average moving in the same direction? And I'll actually give you an example. If I go back to the messaging and alert section and I preview my Forex report, let me quickly find an example of that. There is a moving average. I clicked on opportunity for USD CAD, and I think your screens have updated. I've clicked on opportunity on USD CAD, which Autochartist believes is going down to just 1.01, around 1.01. Now you can see we've added a moving average for you, and the moving average is very strongly leaning in that direction. So for example, in my trading style, and we found at Autochartist, we published a research paper about a year or two ago showing the analytics behind this, that a moving average in the direction of the breakout is a very strong indication of a breakout. However, a confirmation of the breakout. However, of course, obviously, watch for retracements in the market. So that's just an interesting point to note. So that's really the our favorite section. If you want our favorites, you can also help us at Autochartist by telling your brokers to hurry up and work with our team to get our favorites enabled on their platform. I think it's the most phenomenal tool, a huge breakthrough at Autochartist, and I think it's really the way certainly that I trade now, having access. If you don't have access to our favorites, then please what you need to do is you need to go onto our website, autochartist.com, click on the sign up free button, just sign up for I think it's a 2-week trial or a 3-week trial that we give you, and play around with the tool and actually get the feeling of our favorites, see if you like it or not. I'm sure you will like it because I use it on a daily basis. You know, it'll kind of give you like a 1-month head start probably on until your brokers actually make the tool available to your to you as the customer. Okay, and wow, I have done this is a very long webinar for me. I spoke for almost 45 minutes. Errol, do you want me to answer any more questions before wrapping up? Because I'm sure everybody wants to go back to work or back to sleep or take their kids to school. I'm not sure where everybody is in the world right now. So, Errol, is there anything else you think I should deal with urgently in this webinar?
No, Ilan, I think I've actually covered a lot. And
okay.
I think you also covered a lot. So at the moment, not really.
Okay. Okay. I see Joseph has asked a question about whether I personally get over 70% performance in my account. So actually, Joseph, I'm not going to tell you what kind of performance I get on my account, but I outperform the market substantially, and I have done for the last 7 years personally. So yes, I do trade my own book. I trade it actively, and I outperform the market. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I asked you the question earlier in the poll to find out whether any of you are interested in managed money products, because Autochartist obviously is strongly considering going into that space. But you know, right now, you know, we're moving that direction slowly and seeing what the market appetite is for that. But yes, you'll find that most employees actually at Autochartist trade, including myself. David is asking, what do I trade? I actually trade FX. I trade only the major currency pairs. I don't trade any of the exotic pairs, and I trade the New York Stock Exchange as well. Actually, New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. I don't trade Amex. That's what I trade. But of course, you know, I'm not proposing at all that that's what you trade. You're asking a personal opinion.
Sorry, Ilan,
if you want to get pricing for the website,
yes.
Yeah.
Now, I was
just
going to ask you to please just show them again where they can sign up for a free trial.
Sure. Okay, so if you go to, let me go back to our homepage. If you go to www.autochartist.com, I'm just going to wait for my screen to update. And on the top right-hand side of the screen, you'll find a little button called Free Sign Up. It's orange in color. I'm sure you can all see that. You click on Free Sign Up and fill in your details, your first name, your last name, your phone, email address, your country, which broker you use. That's just more for our statistics. And register, and you should be up and running in just a few moments. And if you do decide to pay for it, if you don't get Autochartist or the features that you want through your broker, then you can buy a subscription for $20 a month, and you know, again, I can't say that you will make money, but if you there's a high likelihood that you'll earn your $20 back very quickly on Autochartist. The subscription does give you other features, for example, which we haven't spoken about today. For example, it gives you access to our event impact analysis product, which is a news analysis based product, which I'm not speaking about today. It also gives you obviously the access to our favorites feature, which as yet isn't available at the brokers. So you do get some additional features by taking a subscription through us, but of course if you have a free access to Autochartist through your broker, then by all means please use that, and you will get our favorites feature very soon, very soon. Okay. Good. I think we have to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. I know that I haven't answered many of your questions. You're welcome to send me an email personally if you like, but I'm quite slow to respond. Although I used to be a technology person, I'm now become a bit of a technophobe. But you can email me, Ilan, that's with an I, at autochartist.com. If you want to talk to me personally about my personal trading strategies that I use, it's not a problem. But remember, it's all my personal opinion. If you've got questions about Autochartist itself, please send an email to support@autochartist.com. My guys and girls at the office will be more than happy to help you with all matters relating to Autochartist. Obviously, we can't help you with trading strategies. As a company, we can only tell you where to click and which buttons to click to get the thing to work. You know, so but we'll do our best to help you. Thank you, everybody, for your attention and for waking up in the middle of the night to listen to me. It is really greatly appreciated, and as always, I'm honored to talk to you all. Good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are.